All right, guys, let's get into the discussion topic. Sales. That's a terrible thing. I shouldn't do that. The whole slurp, like here. Was that loud enough? Can I make it louder? It's probably not very ASMR-y, but I feel like it's a transition sound. Okay, sales. How to do sales well. This has been coming up lately inside of the company, and whenever there's a discussion inside of the company, I like to do a podcast about it, and a video about it, so that number one, the rest of the team can reference this as a training video, but also so that we can talk through it, and this information that we know and learn and recognize that people don't know can be disseminated amongst the people who need it. So sales. In a company, you have product. And product is meant to be a solution to a problem that exists inside the world. Then you have marketing. Marketing is the communication that solution exists, letting people know that you are around. My personal philosophy is that marketing is also a complementary part of product, because we're a content marketing company. Our marketing is about how does content become useful to the product. But that's a different video. And then you have sales. And sales job is to make that solution that the person is aware of very clearly solving the problem for the customer. You are a salesperson is meant to be a guide to a customer with the problem. Okay, it should be a noble profession. You are connecting somebody to something that makes their life easier. Why is sales so frowned upon? First of all, it's transactional. Everybody knows that a salesperson is doing it for the money to some degree. And that's fine, but it seems kind of sleazy because it's like you have ulterior motives. You want to solve my problem, but you're getting paid from it. This is true of every company, and I'm not going to say every human, but every company. And it's a fantastically honest system because dishonest people don't really survive very well in this stuff. Side note, if anybody ever tells you, you can trust me, I'm honest, get that person out of your life immediately. If the salesman says that, honest people don't say I'm honest. Don't say the phrase I'm honest. They just are. But, okay, so why is salespeople so sleazy? Well, there's an ulterior motive. You want to make money from it. That's part of it. The more stuff they sell, the more they get paid. Okay. And that also attracts this type of person who can become sleazy. That is possible. The other issue with it is that salespeople are very often quite charismatic, which is weird to most humans and can be off-putting, especially if you're a product person who's very often like an engineer or an artist, and then you have the salesperson. And these people are also quite introverted very often. And then you have the salesperson who is outgoing and just cares about the money. The best salespeople are not all about the money. The money is a form of measurement. But coming back to that, let's go ahead and look at sales from the context of sleazy to really good experience. You are taking your child to buy their first car at a used car lot. Here is the sleazy example of that. Hey, how are you guys doing today? Come on into Hal's secondhand lot. And you're like, great, how's it going? Oh, it's fantastic here. Who's the big man right here? Well, are you coming to get your first car, man, or whatever it was? He's like, yeah, my dad's letting me buy the car. Excellent, man. You ought to come back here. I got some great cars for you. You seen this one? This one is fantastic. You can get it for $5. I can put you in that for 10 grand. I can't do that. I only have 2 grand, and my dad's going to chip in $500. Okay, well, here, we'll take you back to this one. We got this one fixed up. It's running fine. You can go ahead and have it. I'll knock off $200 for you, down to the actual price of $2,000. And then you buy the car, you take it home, and the brakes fall out because the product was not as presented or was not fully communicated. That is the sleazy used car salesman. That is someone who is interacting with the customer purely to get the dollar out of them. Let me change that interaction for you and show you what a good sales process should be. You walk on the car lot. Salesman has, morning, how are you guys? Doing well. Hey, you guys, what can I do for you today? Well, we're here to buy him his first car. Congratulations, dude. It's a big deal when you get your first car. Now, when you say we buying it, are you buying it together, or is he buying it? He's got to buy most of it. Okay, good. That's the right way to raise a kid. Okay, so what are you able to spend then? What's your budget? Okay, yeah, you can spend $2,000. I assume Dad doesn't want you to get a loan because that's probably bad for a kid at your age. Okay, cool. Well, here we got some used cars in the back. Here's the deal. This one is one that you can actually afford. It costs $2,000. We bought it off of a guy last week. I haven't fully tested it, so the transmission could go out in a couple days. Our mechanic looked at it and the oil was changed. But we also have a 30-day return policy because we want to qualify our vehicles. Haven't had time on that, so if it breaks down in the next 30 days, our guys can fix it up for you. But if your dad wants to chip in a little bit more, I do have this other one for $3,000 here, or for $3,500. Here's the deal. If you guys can take it today and you're paying in cash, I'll give it to you for $3,000 and you can drive away with it. It'll be a little bit more. And you drive away with that more expensive car because you trust the salesman, you know you have a 30-day return policy, and it wasn't that much more than you intended to spend, and the car is probably reliable. What were the things that were different about that interaction? What I was trying to demo there is that the sleazy car salesman was trying to push the person to a decision. The good salesperson was asking questions. The sleazy guy said, how much money you got? Well, here's a car that's great. We'll spend all your money. Here's another car. I'll knock it down and that'll spend all your money too. And that's just the main thing. Does it spend all your money? The real salesperson went in asking questions and said, how are you guys today? What are you here for? And left it open and let them answer and lead the conversation and engaged with it in hopefully a somewhat charming way. And then was able to question what was ideal for you guys. Okay, you have this budget. It's his first car. Want to be responsible for the kid and that kind of stuff. And he's not in, and probably should have asked a question about, are you wanting something fast? Can you drive stick? Or is he supposed to go pragmatic and practical? Okay, you're going to drive a Subaru for the next 7 years, kid. That is the thing. A good salesperson is silent. They listen to the person and they engage with it, recognize it, but don't add information until there's enough information to where they're like, okay, here's the value. You need a car for this much. This is your constraints. Here's what I have that gets close, but this one will be a bit more expensive. This one is affordable, but you're going to take a bigger risk with it, and lays out the situation. But then also creates a scenario of like refund policy and that kind of stuff so that people feel safe and comfortable working with this person. The sleazeball is trying to get rid of the cheapest car the fastest for the most money. The good salesman is trying to get the right item for the customer. He has a menu of options and he's talking to the customer to find out what is the right thing for them. This is so important because marketing can't do this. If marketing was to try to replicate this, you end up making 1,000 different videos and hoping that the video is presented to the right person. I've made 1,000 videos. The right person never sees the right video and has never watched them all and never knows anything. The salesperson, a good salesperson, finds somebody who comes in the door, takes them by the hand, and leads them down a path. Hopefully not to trap them, but not to get them lost in the forest or into some hovel where they can catch them. But a good salesperson is supposed to lead the person out of the forest. They're supposed to take your hand and say, hey man, I've been down this road before. I know a lot of people, helped a lot of people out of here before. Take this with me. I'm going to lead you this way. And the salesman leads. The salesman asks leading questions. How much do you pay? What do you need? Why are you here? Does this work for you? What are your constraints? Finding out what your limitations are so that they can then say, we got to go this way. We got to go down here. Here's my menu. This is what you want. They're meant to be a maitre d' at a restaurant, a guide in a forest. A good salesperson eliminates the complexity and the weirdness, builds trust with the customer, and then presents them what they need. At no point there did I just say they maximize the price. Now, it is the mandate of sales to increase the revenue of current users. That is not meant to be by getting them to pay more money by hook or crook. It is meant to be by giving them more value. The longer a customer is with you, the more value you can give for them and the more valuable you become. So if that car salesman analogy, car salesman sells the kid the first car. Car breaks down, kid needs his college car now. Guess where he's gonna go? Now he has more money, more experience, and is willing to pay more because he trusts that salesperson to give them what they want. And now, admittedly, this is also part of product. Like, the product has to work that the salesman is selling, but the salesman mainly just needs to believe in the product. So, the salesman guides the customer, works on a long-term scale to make sure they maintain trust and reliability, is trying to solve the problem for the customer and make it simple and easy for them because the customers have a lot to do. Okay, let me bring this home and bring it down to brass tacks for you. We are trying to sell teleport to people. One of the demographics that we work with are Etsy stores. Etsy stores with 3D printed products. This is how the sales process works, and somebody can try to clone us on this. Go for it. If you think you can outdo my method and do it harder and faster than me, great. I didn't deserve to have it. Here's the secret. It's about how much and how miserable you want to be. I am filming this at 10 p.m. at night. If you think you can work harder than me, go for it. Okay. That's the salesman's competitive side of me coming out. Okay. This is the process. We get a list of Etsy stores that are selling 3D printed items. We get that list by looking hard or buying it wherever it is. That's kind of a marketing job. Okay, that list is built up. We contact every one of the people on that list. Say that list has 1,000 people on there. We are going to directly message every one of those people. That message can be a bespoke baseline message, and the first pass might be that. Take all the emails, email them this generic email, and you'll have some response rate. Then the salespeople then circle back around, or marketing sometimes still, circle back around and make more and more bespoke solutions. The salesperson will run through that list of leads and say, that one is a good one, that one is a good one, that one is a good one. They have enough sales, they look right, I saw they shut down their store at Christmas, they should use teleport because they could get a lot more sales. Great, I know what problem I'm solving for them. They will write an email to that group of people and say, okay, you people, I can solve this problem for you, here's a bespoke message, I looked at your store, this, that, and the other thing, and also here's a free gift. That is our second message to the people after the generic message. Okay, there's that. Then we go ahead and some of those people will respond. In that first response, the person says, I'm interested. I didn't know teleport existed. I would like to hear more about this. That salesperson then is supposed to book a call. Get on the phone with them. You do not question back and forth. You don't email back and forth. You don't text the girl for 3 months before you go on a date. You get to the point and you get to a Zoom call. Here's the thing. Some of you have been on this Zoom call. It's miserable. Mainly because the salespeople sell and they say, here's our product. We're so amazing. You're ready to buy. That's not what it is. On that call, that is an onboarding exploratory call. The salesperson there will talk to you and will say, hey, okay, so what are you doing? What's your store? I've been looking at it. I think it's this kind of stuff. Is that true? What? So you guys shut down during Christmas. Why was that? The salesperson may have hypotheses about all of that, but again, you're shutting up and you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much. Okay. Salesperson is listening and asking questions. We have a script of questions and how that call goes. Hit this, ask this, ask this. If they say that, then ask this. It is a script, but a good salesperson can go off script. Be like, that's interesting. Why is that? Oh, you want to do this because your son is interested in 3D printing and you want to build a business with him. We don't have a flowchart for that. So, but hey, no, I get this. Cool. All right. So that is establishing what the customer needs. During that call, you book the next call, which is onboarding. This is the whole thing of being the guide. At every single step of the sales process, everything should have a next action. Hey, reached outside your store? You want to book an onboarding call? Sure. Okay, booked. On that onboarding call, hey, you want to book the actual onboarding demo call and we'll walk you through using it? Sure. Okay, great. Now you're onboarded. You want to book a check-in in 2 months so we can make sure everything's working right? Sure, let's do it. Cool. That's how you do it. You always have a next thing so that the customer knows where the next milestone is. So we go through that onboarding call. If it goes well, we say, okay, look, let's book, we do that exploratory call. If it looks good and the customer's qualified and we're a good fit, and we're not saying, they're saying, well, we got to print in gold. And we're like, well, we'll figure out a way to make that happen. And then we show them matte black PLA. That's just stupid. That's bad sales. Don't give the customer what they need. And if you don't have it, shut up and let them move on with their life. Stop wasting people's time. Onboarding call, exploratory call. Cool. You book the onboarding call. You send the customer a little bit of homework. Say, hey, go ahead and sign up here. Play around with this. Here's a demo tutorial. That's the follow-up email. Again, staying in contact. Then you have that call a week later or 3 days later, and that's the onboarding call. During the onboarding call, the salesperson is guiding the person along. They say, hey, yeah, you're selling these things on Etsy. Well, I found one of these models here, so I pre-prepped it. Here it is in your account. We can go ahead and upload that and look at that. All right, let's go ahead and plug it into this system. All right, great. We get you all set up on Teleport, get connected to Shippo, and get it connected to your Etsy store. Fantastic. And then the salesperson buys something from your store so that we take the risk to see the full flow of the whole system working. And we're like, okay, let me buy something from your store. Bought it. Sweet. Oh, it just showed up there. Excellent. You're ready to go, man. Go ahead and create a match for that. And then you can also hit the cancel and refund button. And yeah, you get instantly refunded and it's fine. And it's like, sweet. That's fantastic. Okay. That is then a person closed. The salesperson at no point in that process was there a statement for an upsell? Because for us at Slant 3D, our upsell is you print more parts with us. So the upsell for us is how do we get you to use how do we get you to buy Facebook ads so you sell more? That's not money that comes from us. We just want to educate you because if you sell more parts, well, we'll print more parts for you. So that's how we get an upsell. The success of our customers is our success. The sales process that we have right now mapped out and scripted out is find a list of potential customers, reach out to all of them with very bespoke direct messages as the second pass, because you can get a few people with generic messages. Some people just need to know about stuff. So tell everybody, and then tell everybody specifically how it solves their specific problem. Then you onboard them, where you give them a demo, walk them through it, find out what their problems are, and you're listening and not saying anything. And then you go through and set them up and make sure that their problems are solved and they feel comfortable with where they're sitting. That is the job of sales. This is why sales often goes from marketing, bleeds into sales, which then bleeds into what's called customer success. Customer success is generally the follow-on. I think customer success is part of the sales process. The customer needs to reliably be plugged in and happy, and that is success. People get sales wrong because they think it is a numbers game, and it is. Here's the thing about sales. All of that stuff sounded very philosophically grand. But the thing that I skipped over was the absolute misery of having to send out 100 emails a day, or 50 phone calls in a day, or a few hundred emails in a week, whatever it takes to get to it. And then sending all of those emails and having 1% of people respond and schedule a call. That is the brutal part of sales that you need to suck up and get over, because that's just the way it is. This also, by the way, is why salespeople make bank, because it's a freaking miserable job until you learn how to do it, and then you realize, I put an effort here and it grows up over here. And as you get smarter, you get better at identifying clients to where you don't have to contact 100 people, you can contact 10 because you've got a good eye for it, and it gets better. That is how it should operate with a car, how we do it here at Slant 3D in the context of Teleport. How is it useful to you? Sales is an engineering process. People don't think this. A lot of people think, sales is a bunch of oogie boogie, philosophical, psychological manipulation of people. No, it's not. Many of the very best salespeople that I have ever met have been engineers because they understand the numerics of it. When you're building the sales process, there is a statistic at every level. We know how many contacts we have, how many of them We email, how many of them respond, how many of them show up for the call, how many of them become users, how many of those become real users and sell a whole bunch of money through us. A salesperson will look at that entire chart, that funnel of business development, and will start to be able to predict the future. Okay, I've made 1,000 contacts here. That's going to convert at 3%. So I'm going to have 30 new users here by the end of the month. That's going to create this much revenue because our average user value is this. It is very analytical. But the reason guys and people who play sports are often the ones who do sales is because it's freaking miserable and you have to grind through a whole bunch of push-ups before you finally get to play the big game and maybe win. And once you become a pro, then it gets easier once you're a pro. But there's just so much crap that you have to wade through initially. This is why most people never grow their businesses, because sales is uncomfortable and miserable. Here's the thing, engineer, I don't like sales. I don't like getting on the phone with people. I don't like guiding people through how it works. Obviously, it works right there. We designed a brilliant product. It's right there in front of you. Why doesn't this connect? That you don't have international shipping anymore. Plug it in. The frustrations of the product developer sitting there. But as a salesperson, your job is to be infinitely patient and a guide to the customer, which is counter to my personality because I am not patient. And I wouldn't even say I'm necessarily very charismatic. But I am trustworthy. I got one of those faces. And I do want the customer to be successful. But I also know how to deal with crap. And I am okay going through 100 or 1,000 messages with very little to show for it, because that's just what is necessary. And when you have somebody get so close and then not buy or whatever it was, that's also a challenge. But sales is an engineering process, and that is the good thing about it, because you need to write the script, see where people fall off or lose. You readjust the script and evolve it and iterate it. You keep analytics, measuring how that script is performing, how that person is performing, how this channel is performing, how this market segment is performing. 3D printed cookie cutters aren't working anymore. Gotta go over here to 3D printed gears. That kind of thing. You need to be deeply analytical and engineering of a sales process. And the very best teams do this. If you go listen to Alex Hormozy or the CRO of some real company, they can describe what they do with absolute precision. And it's not, by golly, yeah, we call up people and I just give them the charm and people just melt in my hand. They don't do that. Real salespeople don't do that. That's the BS of some hometown Leatherman wearing high school jock dropout used car salesman. That's what everybody experiences because that's who you see in your day-to-day life. But professional and truly good salespeople guide their clients along, are super trustworthy, and have their customers' interest at the very core of what they're doing. And that is what you have to do as a salesperson. You're not trying to make the money. You're trying to solve a problem for your customer. And this is something that can be culturally endemic and is important across the company. The engineers need to be solving a problem for the customer. The marketers should be solving a problem for the customer. The salespeople are seeking to solve a problem for the customer with the product. That all works through there. So if you have the entire team aligned in that direction, that we're trying to make a good product that people love and makes their lives better, this is good. And it allows people to create some passion behind themselves as well, because there's no one more miserable than a call center sales rep. Hello, have you had insurance yet? No? You want some insurance? Okay. Don't do that. But yes, so that hopefully is a good kind of summary of sales, both philosophically and everything else. I'm not going to go through, if you are a professional salesperson, you can go through the steps, different closes, deal structures, all this kind of stuff. This is not the podcast to watch. Go read a Hormozy book or watch his videos or something. He's a sales guy. Watch his stuff. He's the one to learn from. I'm a freaking 3D printer engineer. So now all you 3D printer guys know where to go look to grow your business there. So at least that information is now disseminated to this nook of the internet. That's why I'm doing it. And my team can now reference this into the future as a training video whenever they say, Gabe, I don't understand how we're supposed to do this. This is how we do sales. You have to contact a whole mess of people. Most of them will not want to talk to you right now. Some of them will. You find out what that ratio is, and now you know how many people you need to contact. Get them to a phone call, because you got to get them to a phone call. You're constantly leading them to the next step. You never leave them to wander out into the ether. You never say, hey, you got any extra questions? Or what do you think? Do you want to buy now? No. You presume the next step. Great, let's schedule the next call. Great, let's schedule the next call. Great, let's get you signed up. And guide the customer along so long as you're not manipulating them. Don't manipulate people, because you're not there to make the sale. You're there to solve the problem. Okay. Hopefully that was useful to y'all.